Hello, everyone. We are here today with another one of our partners of the month, and that is the Jewish Association on Aging. And with me today, I have Amy Dukes visiting us here today at the Iris Respite House. And today we're going to talk about caregiving and learn what the Jewish Association on Aging does and talk about our partnership with them. So, welcome.
Thank you.
So
Thank you
glad
so
you're
much for having
here.
me.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm trying to think when we met last, or first. I mean, it was what, 4 years ago, maybe?
Maybe, yeah, it's been a
It
while.
has been a while, yeah. And since then, Hope Grows has gone into partnership with the Jewish Association on Aging with a grant funded project called Caregiver Connect. And we have a counselor here at Hope Grows that implements that program along with Anne Marie at the Jewish Association on Aging. She's the social worker on that end of it. And it's just a joint effort to get family caregivers the extra layer of support that they really need during that time of their loved one having to go into hospital and come out of that hospital or rehab. So it's been great so far with the amount of people that we've been able to support and help with that program, and the feedback has just been wonderful. And also just wanted to touch upon a little bit of the research with that. We are doing research with Chatham University on this project, and that research entails the if we can have caregivers become mindfully aware of their emotions, that it is going to help them better cope with their care receiver. And so far, we're finding that that's happening. So we're really excited about that. So, Amy, I'd like for you now to kind of share what it is that you do for the Jewish Association on Aging.
Sure. My name's Amy Dukes. I am the Senior Director of Memory Care Operations for the JAA. So I work specifically with our clients who are living with memory concerns. We have an adult day service for people living in the community to come in during the day to receive therapeutic services and socialization, and for the caregivers to get a break. We also offer residential programs. We have an assisted living and a personal care home that are secure memory care communities to support people, again, therapeutically in order to live the best quality of life as possible. What I do is I work a lot with the families to help them adjust to that change of going from being a home caregiver to a caregiver of someone in a residential setting. And that's, of course, been so much harder right now.
Oh, definitely.
Because they can't come in to visit their loved ones.
Right.
So that has certainly increased my work with caregivers and increased the challenges for people who are caregiving for people they love. And it's become from a distance, even though they're right down the street.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I was just sharing with you when you arrived that our services here at Hope Grows increased in 2020 by 70%.
And I can absolutely understand why.
Right, right. And a common theme was that, like, my loved one needs to go into a facility, but I do not want to do that because I know I'm not going to be able to see them or interact with them like I normally would. Or if they're already there, just how do I even survive this fact that I can't get in there to give them a hug and visit? That's been huge. Yeah.
This month it'll be a year since a lot of people have seen their loved one face to face, and I cannot even fathom what that feels like for them who are used to seeing them every day.
Yeah. Yeah, it is definitely hard. There's just there with caregiving there's a lot of loss, and this just adds to that loss.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Not to mention the care receiver. They thrive for that hug and that comforting touch, and yeah, it has been very difficult. I know that's a common theme that we're hearing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for letting us know everything that you're doing there. It's quite different than the last, time I think we've even talked and met.
It really is. I would say that our staff's role of being the loving caregiver and giving those hugs and giving that support to people living with us who can't see their families has really increased. So I think the feeling of family and camaraderie and love within our residential services has increased. We've had no staff turnover really in the past year because they're our family. We can't leave them. So that has been a really nice piece of the pandemic that the staff have really become more family to the families who are still living in the community as well as our residents.
Oh, wow.
It's really
Yeah.
connected us in a way that otherwise we wouldn't
Wouldn't
have
have.
connected.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, so Amy, what makes you feel inspired to do the work that you're doing?
I have been so fortunate to see this level of love between our caregivers and the people who are living with dementia that in a typical lifetime you would not see that much love. I see people who've been married for 50 years
Yeah.
who still want to sleep in the same bed,
Yeah.
who still love each other so much. I see kids who I know they tell me about growing up. I know it wasn't always the easiest situation growing up, and still they love and feel responsible and feel that need to help their parents at this point, and I can help to evolve that relationship in a way that otherwise it wouldn't have evolved. And I get to know our residents as who they are. I get to see the heart of the person without all of the kind of background noise of career and all of that. I get to see the unique person, and that is just a gift in and of itself.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. I know. We see that here with the caregiver here, with, that comes into us, for support, and just the ability to be able to see the natural side of who somebody is.
It's a gift. It's not something that everyone gets a chance to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm really grateful that I get to see that.
Right. Yeah. That is too one thing that we say with our caregivers. Thank you. Thank you, because they're thanking us, and we're like, no, we're thanking you.
Right.
Because you're opening up your heart, and telling us your journey, and that's not an easy thing to do.
It's not. It's not. And
No.
for someone to trust us with that is really
Oh,
amazing.
oh my gosh, absolutely, yeah. Well, thanks for that. Yeah, it's always nice to hear how people are inspired to do the work that they do. Because it's draining. It can be
is.
draining work. Yeah, no, I know. It's, we have to remember too to take care of ourselves.
Right.
I know here at Hope Grows, we practice what we preach, and we close 4 weeks out of the year, so we can regroup and just gain, just that balance back.
Yeah.
Because we can get pretty rocked.
Yeah, that's very important.
Yeah. So in your opinion, what do you think are the best resources right now for family caregivers?
I really try to look at the bright side of things. And I think that with the pandemic, one thing that has really come to help caregivers is everything is virtual now.
Yeah.
So as much as it's nice to go out and get that break, a lot of caregivers weren't taking the opportunity to do that because who's going to take care of their loved ones? So now they can work out, and it's virtual.
Yeah.
Now they can take advantage of therapy, and it's virtual, and there's no co-pays right now.
Right.
And it's just a real gift. I think that for those people who have basically been homebound as a caregiver and not really had the freedom to go out and take advantage of those things, now they can take advantage of those things in the little niches where it fits.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more opportunity for self-care in that way. And I think that some other resources that I always encourage people to take advantage of are home care and hospice services. People living with dementias who I work with, but people who are aging and in need of a caregiver can always benefit from reconditioning from physical therapy. And you can get that done right in your house. They can benefit from occupational therapy to help them really navigate their environment.
Right.
And you can get that right in your house. And that's wonderful. And with hospice services, those services can really help people to deal with the changes and help families who aren't necessarily getting along they can become a mediator for those families, so that when there's disagreement about what the right thing is to do, there's that opportunity for mediation.
Right.
So those are services that I always encourage people to take advantage of.
Sure. Yeah. It can be hard navigating the waters of resources, and I know that, that is one of the things we do here at Hope Grows, and that is we provide you that resource if you're looking for something.
Right.
And, and I know that, hospice, I worked in hospice myself, and hospice is just, I don't even have words other than hospice is amazing.
It is. It is.
It's and even palliative care.
Yes.
Palliative care is not as common as a common word as hospice,
Right.
I think, but it is getting more understood. So
It is. And I think families need to also understand that they have a choice of provider. So
Right.
if you meet one provider
true.
and you're not happy with them, please don't write off hospice altogether. Shop around, see what fits your family, what fits your situation.
Yeah, they do. It's amazing how many hospices are in Pittsburgh,
Right.
but the different philosophies of each one.
Exactly. And we're so fortunate to have so many options. So
Right.
shop around and find what works for your family.
Yeah. Well, great. Thanks for that. So, can you tell us of an caregiver experience that has just really touched your heart, a personal story, or even a professional one that's touched your heart?
I'm sorry if I tear up.
Okay.
on
No,
this.
no worries. Right.
Yeah.
We're human.
Right.
Yeah.
I have the opportunity to meet people because my role is also marketing. I meet people before their loved one comes to us. So there's a gentleman who I met the son, and he's a great guy. This entire family is wonderful. And he wanted his parents to move to Pittsburgh so he could better support his mom and taking care of his father. So I met him first, and then they chose to come to the Jewish Association on Aging. And then the mother also moved to Pittsburgh. So we have a caregiver then who doesn't have all of those natural supports of friends because she's living in a different city.
Right.
So they moved in, and she was visiting every day, of course, and is absolutely wonderful. And our resident was absolutely wonderful. And then COVID happened.
Yeah. Oh.
And that made it really, really hard. It increased the anxiety of this particular resident because family was so important to him. And it obviously increased the anxiety of the wife.
Sure.
And she had started, having moved to Pittsburgh, getting involved in swimming clubs and different things to socialize, and all of that ended. So that was a really difficult situation for them. And within that time frame, they had 50th wedding anniversary. And their son out of state got married. So at that time, we were doing window visits, and that's all. So we were able to create a anniversary party outside of the window. Luckily, the weather was nice, so that they could have an anniversary party. And then we were able to do a viewing of the wedding with the local family outside of the window and our resident inside. And he was able to give a speech, toast at the wedding virtually. And it was just really amazing.
Nice.
And such a wonderful family. And unfortunately, he became sick in November, and he passed in November. And his family, they had such a beautiful outlook on his passing. And it certainly was devastating for them, but they really bonded together. And we had grandkids outside of his window and the out-of-state loved one outside of the window. And we're able to use speakers so that they could have time together as a family, even though they weren't allowed to be inside together. And the entire experience was just a beautiful experience. And they're a family that I look up to them. They just had a really wonderful outlook and were very honest about what their life had always been like and where they were today. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful situation.
That's touching. Yeah, that is touching. And the things that we can do among, this whole year, my first reaction was called devastation.
Right.
But in some ways it is. But there's a lot of good that's come out of it as well, I think. There's one, like you said, virtual services of just everything you imagine you can get on your computer or phone. And creative ways of getting families to connect like you just shared. I think is just a wonderful thing that has come out of all of this.
Yeah, I agree. He wouldn't have been able to travel to that wedding even without COVID. But had it not been for the pandemic, the ability to be there virtually really wouldn't have been the same.
Sure.
So it worked out.
Yeah, nice. I guess, you might have already stated this in some of the things that you've mentioned, but what do you think is the most important thing that you've learned in working with family caregivers?
The most important thing that I've learned is that everybody processes the caregiver journey differently.
Yes.
And sometimes it manifests differently. So someone who might be labeled as a difficult client isn't. That's how they are experiencing the stress of caregiving.
Yeah.
So if we can treat everyone as the individual and really get to know them and what makes them tick, then we can help them with this journey. And a lot of it has to do with long-term relationships and feelings of responsibility and guilt. And to really get to the heart of that really gives us the ability to better support a caregiver.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We're finding that as well here with Hope Grows. The caregivers that come to us is just the individual nature of each one coming through the door, and that you're right. Everybody does process everything differently, and allowing that space for them to open up and accept that that's how they're processing it, I think is key. That's what we do here. Our model is an individual model.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's one cookie cutter model out there that's going to help all caregivers.
There's not, and a lot of our caregivers are coming in with 80 years of baggage.
Yeah.
Or 50 years of baggage.
Yeah,
so
you know what? Good point.
That.
I know. I think, I've been married 38 years, and I just think about, 20 more years from now, what we're going to bring into the table for our children.
Yes.
It makes me kind of chuckle and laugh about it but I can see the challenging side of it though too. It does kind of open the door to what your life might be like, right?
It really does. It makes me really look at everyone as a potential care recipient and how that would work. So.
All right. So, Amy, can you share a personal caregiver story? Yeah.
I think that all of us at some point are caregivers, and I had the wonderful opportunity to be a caregiver for my grandmother. She was a very important person in my life, my entire life. She and my mom were very close, and when she was in her late 90s, my mom became her primary caregiver, and then my mom predeceased her, as happens frequently where we see caregivers predecease that care recipient. So I had the honor of taking on the responsibility of making sure that my grandmother got what she needed, but also knowing that I was making my mom proud.
Yeah, sure.
And, that's something that was just an amazing experience, to utilize everything that I had learned working in aging services for so long to support my own family and to know to use home care and to know to use hospice and to do all of that. And it was not easy. Yeah. I was working full time. I had a 2-year-old.
Oh, wow.
It was not easy. And it was a way that brought my extended family closer together and gave me that opportunity to experience being cared for by my grandmother and then becoming that caregiver.
Yeah. Talk about the circle of life.
Exactly.
Right?
And that really just impacts everything that I do.
Sure.
I take all of those experiences when I'm working with caregivers, and that I think makes me much more helpful to have lived it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Oh, thanks for sharing that. I know it's hard to share personal stories.
It can be.
Yeah, but I appreciate you opening up and sharing that part, because I think people need to know that. People need to know that those of us that are in this field of helping, have also experienced, I think it creates a common ground, for everybody. And I think it's important.
I think so too. Yeah. I think most of us who get into this field are just natural caregivers. So so we've done it, but we understand that our experience is different from everybody else's, and we can respect that.
Absolutely. And it's interesting, we provide here bereavement support as well. And it's nice to have our caregivers that need that support, get that support, but yet when they are here and they begin talking, they almost become a mentor at this point, because they've experienced so much that they can now share.
Right.
And, and it's been very valuable, for that interaction to happen.
And I think that's really important. I think as a caregiver, once you lose the person you're caring for, you think, well, what do I do to fill all of this extra time? I wished for this extra time, and now I have it and I don't know what to do. So to be able to come and become a mentor for someone else is also a gift to a caregiver, I think, to help them heal.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I guess, is there anything that I haven't asked that you'd like to share?
I think that I always just want to encourage caregivers to reach out and ask for help. It's easy to, and not help in the way of please come over and take care of my loved one for me, but really just talk to your friends and family about what's going on.
Yeah.
It's easy as a caregiver to think that no one else has time to hear about what you're going through, but it's important to let people know what you're going through.
Yeah.
It's important to share that because they may have something to offer. They may receive something from your story, but it's easy to isolate yourself as a caregiver.
Oh, absolutely.
And really
it is.
focus on
Yep.
just the person you're taking care of. Don't write off the people who have been close to you just because you're isolating yourself.
Yeah.
Still reach out to them and maintain those relationships because they become important then.
Yeah.
Later, you want those relationships back, so
Right.
you need to maintain them.
Such a great point, because we do, sometimes caregivers come to us when they're burnt out,
Right.
and they've already lost their identity, and caregiving has become their identity, or loss or grief has become their identity,
Right.
and it is just, we see that a lot, and then we do that mental health reparative work of helping them to regain who they are, or who they need to become. So it's thanks for pointing that out. It just reinforces what we're doing here.
Right.
Is so helpful. Absolutely.
It really is. You have to allow yourself to do that and really force yourself to do that.
Well, that's it. That's just it. It's taking the time.
Right.
Because we're under stress. Even not having caregiving added up on that rock, that pile of rocks. Just life in general is stressful, and you know how difficult that is to take 10 minutes a day for yourself, or 30 minutes a day for yourself. Not alone now adding on the caregiver tasks. But it is so important.
It really is.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you. Thanks for that. So how can our listeners find out or get in contact with the Jewish Association on Aging?
Well, we're really easy to contact. We have a website. It is www.jaapgh.org. And if you need to reach me personally about memory care related issues, my phone number is 412-521-8295. And I'm always happy to talk to people, even if the JAA maybe can't be the one to provide the support. I have some knowledge of resources in the community, and I'm always happy to share.
Wonderful. Well, I'm so appreciative of the relationship that we have with the Jewish Association on Aging, and extremely thankful for your time today in coming here and providing information for our viewers and listeners. And then also just the friendship and partnership that's come out of this,
I really love what you guys do
here.
Thanks. Thank you for doing it.
Yes.
I'm really proud that this is part of our community.
You're right. I am too. We're out here in Moon Township, and there's really nothing like what we're doing. And I'm not sure if other pockets of the United States is starting to do things like this. I've not really heard, but I'm very fortunate, that we can do this.
It's a gift. It really is.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much again.
Of course. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right.